This is Matt Verbois from La La Land Records, and you've entered the La La Land Lounge on Geekcast Radio.
Hello everyone and welcome back inside the La La Land Lounge. Yup, that's right, La La Land Lounge is back here on Geekcast Radio Presents, Geekcast Radio Network, geekcastradio.com. I am of course TF2 and Mike. I was supposed to have this episode done back in May of 2018, and sadly life has gotten in the way, and I've always said that, real life comes before podcasting and everything else. Everything is going well. My wife Karen and I have had a lot going on between moving, buying a new house, all that other good stuff. But I am here today to give you my thoughts on the Blake Neely latest releases from La La Land Records. This includes Supergirl Season 2, Arrow Season 5, The Flash Season 3, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 2. As I said, I started to produce this back in May of 2018, but I never finished it, sadly, so I'm doing it now. Kicking off, I have to say, Blake Neely and the DC TV universe on CW, the CW Arrowverse. Oh my god, I love this stuff. Arrow is a little, it depends on the season. And actually, myself and DJ Valentine from Simplistic Reviews podcast are actually going back and reviewing every single episode, or I should say every single season, of the Arrowverse over on Remote Control, our current TV podcast here at the GCRN. We've released episode 42, magic number 42. 42 is the number of everything and all that, where we discussed Arrow Season 1 and Season 2. I have not seen that since it aired. Oh my god, going back to that beginning of Arrow, wow. But yes, the scores from Blake Neely. I want to interview this man. I want to talk to him so badly. Oh my god, I love this guy. I love the music and he and his team do for the DC TV universe over at the CW. Kicking off with Supergirl Season 2, we have a new Superman theme. It actually says in the booklet, in the CD booklet from La La Land Records, that Blake Neely asked, what's his name? Greg Berlanti, do you want us to, license out the John Williams theme, or do you want us to create a whole new Superman theme? And Greg asked Blake for a new Superman theme. I love track 1, the Superman theme. I think it's really, really cool. It has some nice beats in it. It has some nice heavy epic music, and it has a few low tones into it. I just absolutely think that's great. It's super fun to listen to, and it flows into Famous Cousins working together very nicely. This is track 2, and this one has a fun vibe to it. I've been watching Supergirl since season 1, obviously, and I've been watching all these Arrowverse shows since 2012 when Arrow debuted, but Supergirl is a show that has slowly become my least favorite of the CW programming. Arrow has gotten significantly better as of season 6, but Supergirl has been on a very, very steep decline for me. However, I still love the music. The music is wonderful, and Famous Cousins working together is both an upbeat, fun theme, also a very serious, dark theme at the same time. Another track I like is the next track, First Day as a Reporter. This shows you Kara's character. This shows you her direction. This shows you how she's going to make it as a reporter if she does. Which she did, obviously. But First Day as a Reporter has some very nice, subtle tones in it, and I just am enjoying this so much. I should say this is a single disc release. There are 31 tracks. The total album time is 77 minutes and 13 seconds. Another thing I think Blake did extremely well is the various themes for other characters from the show. Like the Luthor's theme, track 16 off this. In Supergirl, they mention Lex, but Lex isn't showing up. Lex isn't Supergirl's nemesis. I guess on a whole he is, but he's more Superman's nemesis. But they have Lena Luthor in here, and they have her mother, and all this and all that. The Luthors are an evil, evil family, as far as I can tell. Lena is kind of not that. She's not all the way good, but she's not all the way bad. She's not as bad as Lex, obviously. But the tones in track 16 give off the feeling of being bad. And I just dig it so much. Track 17, Ms. Pidlick, Kill Tipsy-Zim. It always surprises me how well or how strangely any Superman media, television, movie, whatever, decides to incorporate Ms. Pidlick. Superman the Animated Series, we had Gilbert Gottfried voicing him. In Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, we had Howie Mandel playing him. I don't quite remember the episode in Season 2 for Ms. Pidlick off the top of my head, but I do know, listening back to this music, it fits the character. It's not fun, fancy, free. It's fifth-dimensional kind of fun. It's basically, if you ask Doc Brown what he would think of fifth-dimensional thinking, that's what the track 17, Ms. Pidlick, kind of is to me. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. And I just want to listen. That's the one track off this that I think I could listen to on repeat. Absolutely love that. I also like Mon-El's True History, track 22. Giving the history of Mon-El and the Daxamites and all that and everything else. I think Blake did an amazing job with this track to show where the character came from for Mon-El, the history, where he is now, and where he's going in the future. There are other tracks on here that I do love, like Fighting Superman. That was a fun track. Check this out, folks. If you've been watching the Supergirl show, if you like it, if you don't like it, give the music a try, because the music is really, really done well, and I absolutely love it. I'll be back after this. You're going to hear a selection from one of my favorite Supergirl tracks, and as well as a selection from Arrow Season 5, which is up next. Alright everyone, now that we've talked about Supergirl, let's jump on over to Arrow Season 5. Talking about the Season 5 soundtrack from LaLa Land Records and Blake Neely. It has 29 tracks, a total album time of 77 minutes and 41 seconds. This one is really interesting. Like the first 4 season soundtracks, I absolutely love them. I've been very vocal on my disdain for the Arrow show from season 3 to season 4, and even partially of season 5. That still does not take away from the fact that Blake Neely's score for this show absolutely makes the show great. Here in season 5, we have tracks like Back with a Vengeance / Meet Tobias Church. We have Bratva Brothers. We have Team Fights Church / Wild Dog Taken. Prometheus's theme, So It Begins. Who is Vigilante? Who is Vigilante is very friggin' cool. I absolutely love that. Invasion of Old Enemies and Friends, which you'll hear right here. Because I love that track. That might be my favorite track on the disc. We've got Laurel Not Laurel, Between the Two Laurels, and all of that and everything else. Because I think it's Earth 2, Laurel Lance, the Black Canary, it's a whole thing. Cemetery Confrontation is interesting. The Talia Connection track is great. Your Son is Dead is strangely haunting. And the final track, Blown Away. Now, I'm kind of skipping over these tracks, some of them. I'm not telling you about all 29 tracks here. Blown Away is the final track, because at the end of Season 5, they blew up the island. What I love about Blake Neely's scoring for Arrow is how dark at times it is, because Arrow is a very dark show, is a very serious and sinister type of show at times. What I also enjoy are the lighthearted moments that it can have. And the touching moments that it can have, like when Quentin Lance goes to rehab, track 11 off of this disc, has some really, really powerful tones in it, and all of the musicians that Blake Neely works with to craft these scores are just absolutely amazing. So, if you've got the Season 5 score from LaLa Land Records, what are some of your favorite tracks? Let me know, and I'll be back with The Flash Season 3 after this. Alright, folks, now it's time to get flashed. Oh, wait. That's not something anyone should say, is it? The Flash, Season 3. Yay! I love the music from Season 3 of The Flash from Blake Neely, as always, and his team. This has 27 tracks. Total album time is 77 minutes, 10 seconds. It's a single disc release. It also includes the Best Team Up Ever / Things Got Worse and the Invasion crossover music. Very, very cool. The Flash is easily my number one show out of all the CW shows. Well, it was. Once Legends came along, Legends is kind of taking my top spot, but The Flash and Legends are kind of tied up there with number one for me. And as you all know, for those of you who have been listening to any of my podcasts for the last 10 years, I usually don't do ties. I make a choice. But I love both The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow equally. I like the Legends music just a little bit more, and I'll explain why in a little bit. However, The Flash Season 3, this was the Savitar season. This was the Alchemy and Savitar and all that, and everything else. There's a little bit of Gorilla Grodd in there. There's a little bit of H.R. Wells in there. Obviously, Vibe comes in more with Cisco and all that and everything else. I love this music. There are plenty of tracks out of these 27 that I would gladly listen to over and over and over again. The Flash Season 3 is just might be my favorite score out of all 3 seasons of The Flash. Maybe. I don't know. That season 1 score was pretty awesome. So tracks on this that I love. H.R. Wells, which is track 7. It's just fun, quirky music because HR is a fun, quirky guy. It's very cool. Let's see. I love The Best Team Up Ever / Things Got Worse, which is track 11. And track 12, which is the Invasion crossover music. I absolutely love it when Blake Neely has a chance to combine all of the CW superhero themes. From Arrow to Supergirl to Flash to Legend, any of it. I love it when he melds it all together and makes it seem like it's all one big theme. And that is so cool, and I can't wait to hear more. Not Vibing with Gypsy, track 16 off of this, might be my favorite track off of this because it's just so damn cool. The vibe it has, pun intended, is interesting. The instrumentals on it are something like I've never heard before. And that's what's so cool about the CW superhero music from Blake Neely. I also love track 23, Killer Frost. I also love track 27, which is the final track, Barry's Sacrifice. It always comes back to Barry, because obviously he's the central character. Central character, Central City. Yeah, I know, I'm not funny. I love track 5, Jumpstart Your Powers, because that was a cool thing, where he had to figure out how to reinvigorate his Speed Force thing. What was so cool about Season 3 of The Flash that I remember it now is how they began it. They began it with Wally. They began it with Rival versus Kid Flash. And that was so cool that basically track 1 off of this is all about Wally West as the Flash. Absolutely love that. Check out The Flash Season 3 from LaLa Records. It's amazing, folks. Digging into this again after so long, because I haven't listened to these scores in a while at this point. Like I said earlier in this episode, I tried getting this done back in May of 2018, but due to circumstances just couldn't. But going back and listening through to these so I could record this, man, I love this music. Blake Neely could do the Folgers coffee ad music or something, and I would absolutely love it. It doesn't matter. Blake Neely is to television as to what Brian Tyler is to film scores for me at this point. So I will be back in a moment with Legends of Tomorrow Season 2's score, and how one track on that score almost had a personal note for me. So we'll be back after one of my favorite tracks from The Flash Season 3. And finally, we have DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 score from Blake Neely from LaLa Records. I love the Legends scores because they can do so much, because there's so much going on in Legends of Tomorrow, and Season 2 is no different. Absolutely love it. We kick off the disc with swashbuckling through a French chateau. Super cool, upbeat, high, intense music. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite tracks off of this, and you would have heard it in the beginning of the podcast, you'll hear it again here. There's a 44-second bit in Meeting the Justice Society of America. I said earlier in the podcast that this was going to be a personal moment for me. My wife Karen and I, at the time we were getting married or planning our wedding, I was trying to figure out a way to get Steve Megatron and Pecan Court Michael, like giving everybody, not just them, but all of our guests and things like that, entrance music. And this 44-second bit from Meeting the Justice Society of America would have been the coolest thing for those two guys to walk into. Check it out. I'll be back in a moment. Alright, folks. Also, off of Season 2, I absolutely love the Shogun track, the new Captain Appointed track, Outlaw Country. Legends of Tomorrow does really, really cool Wild West type things, and Outlaw Country is no different. Outlaw Country, as well as the Invasion crossover. We also have Mississippi 1863 Confederate Zombies. I'm no fan of the zombie stuff at all, but wow, did Blake Neely and his team nail Western zombies or Confederate zombies kind of thing. It's so cool. You should really listen to this. It's very, very interesting. I also love the Chicago way. I recently just moved to Chicago a year ago now, and I've always loved the city. I've always loved the culture that Chicago instills in everyone, and this track, the instruments on it are so badass, and it takes you back to a different time. If you're not watching Legends of Tomorrow, folks, what's wrong with you? Give it a try. It's an absolutely amazing show. There's so much variety in it. Within the 4 seasons that they have so far, we just started season 4, but the 3 that are out so far, each season is so different, and they have the team come up against so many different things. Blake Neely and his team on this music, as well as Flash, Supergirl, and Arrow, and all the crossover musics. I absolutely love them. I think they're great. These are scores that I will listen to for the longest time, especially the Legends ones. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to hear more. Again, I have to apologize to Matt and Michael and everybody at LaLa Land Records. This took me a little while longer than I was hoping to put out, but life was happening to me. I know they understand that. And coming up next week, we celebrate the 30th anniversary of Die Hard, which is not a Christmas movie. I will explain that next week, but we're going to take a look at Michael Kamen's Die Hard release score from LaLa Land Records next week here on the LaLa Land Lounge, only on Geekcast Radio Network. Tune in next week, and I will catch you later.